Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about crash-proof techniques and skills and information that I can give you for defensive driving so that you will remain crash-proof and accident-free for the duration of your driving career. And I do apologize for the slight delay there. I was messing around with my OBS this afternoon to do a Facebook Live, and I realized to change the settings for my YouTube as well. So I just had to go in quickly and get that going for you. So this week, just let me know what class of license you're studying for. If you're studying for a road test, a knowledge test, or you're going for a commercial license, bus or truck license. If you are going for a bus or truck license, a CDL license, which is commercial driver's license, let me know down in the comments there which class of license you're going, what you're doing, whether you're getting a bus or your truck license. And El Flaco Trailero. I'm doing awesome. And yourself? How are you doing? So yeah, just let me that information. And those of you who are watching on the replay as well, I try and get to my comments as much as I can. So leave a comment down in the comment section for those of you watching on the replay, what kind of vehicle you're driving, what kind of license you're pursuing, and those types of things. Nick, going for your G2 next week. Main things I need to make sure I know as well. Okay, Nick, yeah, I'll be sure to talk about that for you. Diamond Azir. Saw my videos. Excellent. I'm going for class 1 on 14th in Manitoba. Shubham. That is awesome that you're going for that on the 14th in November. Hopefully you don't get any snow there in Manitoba, because that'll make it a little bit more challenging for you. So we've had some great successes this week, and interesting enough, you may or may not have seen the interview I did with Bill Walker this week, and if you didn't see that, definitely check that out. And it was interesting because Bill has retired. His wife is from Mexico, so they're in Mexico. And last year on New Year's, Bill put a picture on Facebook of him picking limes off the trees in the backyard, and I think he was kind of poking fun at us up here because we were having more severe winter than what we normally do. Long story short, I made a video at that point and sort of talked about my goals for my YouTube channel. And New Year's last year I had 3,000 subscribers, and was saying that I was going to 10 times that, so I was going to have 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Well, I'm going to hit 30,000 subscribers by the middle of November, and at the latest. So I've reached my goal for YouTube. I've 10 times my channel, and now I'm just trying to formulate in my head what my goals are for next year. And so that's really exciting, and all of you are part of the Smart Driver community, and all of you have made this possible. The successes that I've had on the YouTube channel, and everybody else who's passed road tests, I congratulate you for the work that you've done. And it's really because of you that you've made this channel possible. So, Summit. Neither myself nor my friends have cars. The driving school is giving only 5 hours a class, very expensive. How to practice, learn quickly. Summit, there are lots of people out there who will give you some time in their vehicles. Some of these people are senior citizens, particularly who have vehicles and can't really drive, or don't really want to drive and want to go to the grocery store, or those types of things. Just working in rental shops and those types of things. They'll back the cars around in slow speed maneuvers, those types of things. Anything that you can do to get in a vehicle and get used to vehicles is going to help you to practice and help you to be successful on your road test. So Sam is here as well. Jericho Arroyo. Sam is from the Bronx, and he works for Rookie Auto Driving School. So if any of you are in New York City or near the Bronx, Sam is there and really good, and Sam is always here and helping out. So I appreciate Sam showing up to these Smart Sundays, these live streams that I do on Sunday night to help people out for the coming week and their road test. And like I said, the comments fly past here pretty quickly, and I'm trying to answer the comments. So if I don't get to your question, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because it just rolled up to the top of the screen here. And actually what I'll do, I'll put the comments up now that I'm talking about the comments. So just ask your question again, and I'll try to get to it for you and answer that for you, okay? Sam, I got it. I got your last name. Yes, I've been practicing it, Sam, when I'm walking around. brushing my teeth in the bathroom, those types of things. So Nikib, I have my DMV test. Thanks. Summit, thank you so much for passing the class 1 very first time. So Shubham, there's 5 components to a CDL class 1 tractor trailer, okay? Turning, pre-trip inspection, shifting, backing, and hook and unhook. So those are the 5 basic components, and there's a video here on the channel. Have a look at that. You have to be competent in those, and as well, turning is probably the most important part of that, in combination with your pre-trip inspection. Of course, not crunching too many gears, but you really need to be able to get the vehicle around in an urban area, and that's your biggest challenge in terms of passing the road test. All right, and remember that all of the techniques and skills that you need for passing a car license are applicable to the higher class licenses, so that applies to tractor trailer as well. So just know that, okay? Nathalie, you passed your driving test. Thank you for your video. You are most welcome. Where were you that you passed your road test, Nathalie? Tiffany, in the general knowledge test, a little of everything in the CDL. I'm going for my Class B permit for a bus for California. This is my last test. Awesome. That's great news, Tiffany. Yes, there is a little bit of everything in terms of Class B license, which I believe it's a bus, right? So just know that passenger safety is your #1 priority for going for a bus license. Patel, I got my G license. Your channel helped me a lot. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for letting us know, and thank you for your comment and your compliment. That's really great. Like I said, it's certainly what makes all of this possible here on the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel. Nathalie is in Seneca Falls, New York, upstate. I think I've been to Seneca Falls, Nathalie. That's really great. It's a pretty place. Okay. Let's see. Who else we got here? Brady, I took my Class B for motor coach operation. I'm actually the mechanic for the buses, but getting my CDL is for road testing. Yes, Brady, that's awesome news. That's really great. I'm glad you're getting your CDL license. That helps out with your heavy mechanic, and you obviously move the vehicles around in the shop, in the yard, and those types of things. We keep it slick all night. Great username. My students like your videos. Hope I'm allowed to show them. Absolutely. By all means, anything that can help out your students, anything that can help them pass and do the be successful on the road test and the theory test, by all means, yes, use the videos for great. Tyler, any suggestions on vehicle control with parallel parking? Yes, Tyler, if you're having difficulty with the parallel parking, go into the turning playlist and look at the fundamentals of driving. It's the 36-inch tall, 1 meter tall pylons. Go to a parking lot, work with those, do the exercises that I suggest in that video, and that will help you improve your parallel parking as well. Just get used to where the blind areas around your vehicle, drive up to the pylons, back up to the pylons. All of that will translate into your overall driving and help you become a better driver and help you to parallel park better. Okay, Miss Smite, I was on last week. I passed my Florida road test. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so happy. We'll continue to watch your videos to become an expert. And thanks for your great videos. You are most welcome, and thank you so much for letting us know. That's really awesome that you passed your road test down in Florida. I'm really happy to hear that. That's really great. Nathalie, I'm going to share your videos. Thank you so much for that endorsement, Nathalie. That is really awesome. Okay. Okay, Shubham, I'm having a real trouble in backing up. Suggest me something. Okay, Shubham, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Manitoba, where you're taking your road test. Do you know what you're required to do in terms of backing up for the tractor trailer exercise? Do you have to back in a straight line? Do you have to back around a corner, or do you have to parallel park? Just leave a comment and let me know which one you have. Nakib, you have your road test tomorrow. Good luck on your road test tomorrow. By all means, leave us a comment and let us know how that turns out for you. Is there any challenges that you might be having coming up to your road test for tomorrow? Just leave me a comment there. Yes, Corey, the BC currently has an awareness program in for big trucks. I'm not really sure. I didn't go on the CVSE and other websites here, but I did notice it when I was driving back from Victoria last week. That they do have that, and in the raining video there's one of the signboards that's over the highway that has something about merging and keeping space away from trucks and those types of things. It's just a basic it's a basic awareness program for drivers of passenger vehicles to be aware of bigger trucks and that there's bigger blind spots and those types of things around them, and just keep your space. Okay, Shubham, it's just a straight line back up. So what I would suggest, yeah, going maybe before or going after, yes. What you need to do, one of the things you need to do is to go and, do you have, Shubham, do you have access to any truck and trailer, like a pickup truck and a utility trailer or a camping trailer or something like that? Because if you can just get a truck and trailer and practice backing that up, it's actually harder to back up just a regular truck and trailer than it is to back up a tractor trailer, because they're a lot more squirrely. Like they tend to need a lot more correction as opposed to a semi trailer. So if you can just go and get a truck and trailer and you can practice with a regular truck and trailer, that will translate into your tractor trailer backing up. So practice that. And the other thing, when you get a truck and trailer, like just a pickup truck and a utility trailer, practice backing around corners, and you might even think about going and getting some of those 36-inch 1 meter tall pylons and working with those and just trying to back up to them and see how close you can get to them, looking in the mirrors and those types of things. The other part about it is just looking in the mirrors and getting used to the mirrors is going to be a little bit of a transition and a learning curve for you as well. So if you can get a regular pickup truck and a regular trailer, that's going to help you out, okay? So that's one way, that's probably the quickest and easiest way that you're not actually in the tractor trailer, but you are learning skills to back up, okay? Okay, Andrew, hey, do you notice that SUV crossovers are harder to drive than sedans? I noticed the CRV felt bigger than the Accord, even though the Accord is bigger in dimensions in reality. Andrew, what year is the CRV that you're talking about? Just let me know there. Angie passed a road test. That's excellent, Angie. Thank you so much for letting us know, and that's really great. Just remind me, Angie, where are you again in the world here? Sam, I had a student today that asked me if the steering wheel could be tightened because it feels so loose and fast in turning. I never heard of that. I can't say I've ever heard of that either, Sam. So I'm not. What was the student? Did you query that a little bit and ask what the student was actually talking about? Because that, I don't know. That sounds interesting question. As my experience as a truck driver, what is your experience when this happens? Are you at all able to see cars when they do this, or is it a complete surprise when they roll up in front of you? No, it's not. Oh, Angie's in New York. That's awesome. Really great. Okay. No, you have pretty good vision, Corey, when you're in a truck from other cars and those types of things. And I mean, you're obviously paying a lot more attention to other vehicles around the roadway and those types of things because you have such big blind areas in the truck. So you are paying attention and taking note and keeping track of other vehicles. And this is why, yeah, it's interesting that, you know, truck drivers are always saying that they don't stop on a dime in those things. Actually, the braking systems in big trucks is exceptional. It's for the size of the vehicle and how much weight it's carrying. Urban Legend is in Maryland. That's great. On the East Coast there, it's 10 o'clock because it's 3 hours ahead of us here. So, if you get your license, when do you suggest I start you driving? Shubham, I suggest you start driving as soon as you get your license, because if you don't start driving as soon as you get your license, unfortunately, the skills that you have coming out of driving school are going to wane quickly. So the more experience, the sooner you can get behind the wheel and start driving, the better your skills are going to increase and improve. So I suggest that you start driving as soon as possible. I mean, especially if you're driving, if you're in Manitoba, most of your runs are probably going to be out to Alberta and into Ontario and those types of things. And basically all you're dealing with is winter. You're really not going to be doing a lot of chaining up and those types of things. What you're going to be doing if you do end up chaining up is if you end up here in British Columbia, then you're going to have to put chains on. And the other thing that I'll just say about chains, for anybody who's coming to BC, you're going to need to chain up here in BC. Know that it's not 2 feet of snow when you need chains. It's usually 2 inches. Okay, Andrew, it's a 2014. Is it supposed to feel larger than sedans? Yeah, I think, Andrew, it's going to feel larger because it's higher. It's a little bit higher, and it sits up higher off the ground. In a sedan, you're feeling lower to the ground. So I don't think that you're going to be feeling that even though the CRV is smaller than the Accord, you're still going to feel like the Accord is, you're going to feel like the CRV is bigger because you're sitting up higher. I think that's what it is. We keep it slick all night. Do we do seminars? What kind of seminars are you looking for? Just let me know and I'll elaborate on that. Okay, Sam, they're not used to the wheel. Well, I felt it was easy to turn the wheel, that they feel like they're overcorrecting or overturning. They actually were overturning at times. They just needed more practice. Yeah, thus I come back to the fundamentals of driving and working in a parking lot so they can get used to the steering wheel and those types of things. And especially in this day and age with, awesome tire technology, power steering and those types of things. I mean, it's very easy to steer a car anymore. I mean, very few of us keep both hands on the steering wheel. I mean, as you and I know, Sam, that 2 hands on the steering wheel, I mean, yes, it's for concentration and for new drivers because they need to keep their attention focused on what they're doing. But for those of us who are experienced drivers, I mean, we rarely drive with 2 hands on the steering wheel. And I certainly have a difficult time when I'm doing license requirement videos to keep my hands bolted to the steering wheel. And it's also been my experience with drivers that are upgrading to commercial licenses. They too, it's constantly, I'm always saying, 2 hands on the steering wheel, driver, 2 hands on the steering wheel. So yeah, it's just not us. Urban Legend, is worth having a hazmat endorsement. Yes, if you're going to go drive truck, Urban Legend, yes, it's really good to have Transportation of Dangerous Goods certificate. So yeah, I would suggest that. Okay, Andrew, and Urban Legend, just on that note of Transportation of Dangerous Goods certificate for the purposes of driving truck, it's quite easy to get, and the certificate has to come from the trucking company for which you're working. It has to be signed by them. Now, oftentimes what will happen is that there are training companies. I know, for example, here in Canada, we have several that are online. You have to do the hazmat, and it's basically just answering some questions. It's open book. You look up in the Transportation of Dangerous Goods manual, figure out what placard you need, where you need to keep your documents. You need to keep them on the seat and in the door panel and those driver's door pocket and those types of places in case there was some sort of an emergency and emergency crews had to find them. It's an open book test, but the company has to sign the certificate for Transportation of Dangerous Goods, so just know that. All right. Andrew, should I avoid SUVs while learning? Is there more of a blind spot in SUVs? No, Andrew, I don't think it's going to really matter too much if you have a mid-size SUV. I mean, if you obviously have a full-size SUV, like a Chevy Tahoe or a Tesla or something like that, then I would probably counsel you not to do something with really big, but do something with a smaller vehicle. But like a CRV is a good vehicle to learn in, absolutely. So yeah, no, I wouldn't suggest a sedan over an SUV. But as you're working towards your license, definitely try and get as much experience you can in different vehicles. But as you get closer and closer, like in the weeks leading up to your road test, just stick to the same vehicle, so that way you're not going to get confused when you go into your road test. Okay. There you go. Thanks, Corey, for answering that question. Okay, how about driving on freeway during rain? I'm a new driver in US. Thanks for all freeway driving tips. Yes, VJ, I just put up a video this morning on driving on the freeway in the rain. And actually, it's driving on the freeway in the rain in the mountains, because last week, as I say in the video, I drove down to Tawasin, which is Vancouver. Tawasin is the key, the ferry key, where you get on the ferry to go to Victoria in Vancouver Island. And it was probably some of the most amount of rain that I have seen in all of my driving career. And it was raining heavy. And there was water pooling on the road. There was a lot of hydroplaning. Let's say most of the time when I'm driving to Victoria, I'm usually on cruise control and just kind of sitting back in the seat, relaxed, listening to an audiobook. And I was very much at attention. I wasn't on cruise control. I was on the throttle because there was a lot of hydroplaning going on. And essentially what happens when you hydroplane is the drive tires of the vehicle, whether it's a front wheel drive or a rear wheel drive vehicle, sit up on top of the rein, and then they start to spin because there's too much speed. So you just got to let off the throttle or kick down a little bit. But the first few times that you do it, it's a little daunting because the front end kind of kicks if you got a front wheel drive vehicle. If you have a rear wheel drive vehicle, it's the same thing. So hydroplaning can be a bit daunting. So make sure you have good tires on your vehicles. And the other thing about the amount of rain that was coming down in the dark, and you'll see that in the video if you have a look at it, it was one of the first times that I had ever had, well, not one of the first times, but one of the few times in my driving career that I've actually had the windshield wipers on high. I can probably count on one hand in my driving career the number of times I've turned the windshield wipers on actually high. That was one time. So, okay, Tasha, when should I downshift to second gear when making a right turn? Tasha, what I suggest for downshifting to second gear for making a right turn as you're going around the right turn. So once you slow down and hit the brakes and bring it down to the speed that you need for the right-hand turn, which is most of the time going to be 10 to 12 kilometers an hour. It's going to be 8 to 12 miles an hour if you're in the States there. I don't know. And as soon as you get it down to the correct speed to go around the corner, that's when you downshift to second gear. Okay. Tasha, before the turn or 3 car lengths before, what do you recommend? Yeah, before the turn. Yeah, before the turn. So as you brake, bring it down to the required speed, and then shift down to second. Allison, how can someone remind themselves that they need to shoulder check if they are having a hard time developing this healthy habit? Yes, it is a healthy habit because a shoulder check will prevent you striking something or striking a pedestrian on the roadway. How can you do that? Practice in a parking lot, or just go out and sit in the vehicle and just practice shoulder checking. You know, just visualize in your head that you're going to make a lateral movement. You're going to move the vehicle left, or you're going to move the vehicle right, and then you're just going to shoulder check. Just quick shoulder check, 90 degrees, quick head check, as they call it in Australia and Europe and other places. So that's all you do. Just visualize. Okay, urban legend. I work at a transfer station, work with trash. Well, I don't know, urban legend. How much hazardous materials do you think you'd be transporting? Arlie, I failed my road test and a lot of maneuvers not being able to stay in my lane. Any second road test tips? Yes, Arlie. It sounds like you're having some difficulty with the fundamentals. So what I would suggest is to start with the fundamentals of driving video. Go and get some of those 36-inch tall, 1 meter tall pylons and do some work in the parking lot and get more comfortable and more experience and expertise with working with the primary controls of the vehicle, because that sounds like that's where you had your difficulty. Buy DVDs or other classroom materials. Your videos in class are favorite lately. If we were around Atlantic Canada, we would love it. Atlantic Canada, awesome. Whereabouts in Atlantic Canada? In the Maritimes, are you? Down east, as we say in Ontario. I'm sure here in British Columbia, most BCers wouldn't know where the Maritimes are. It was pretty funny. When I first moved to British Columbia, I was listening to the CBC radio, and there was a woman on the radio who said, "Yeah, I've been out east. I've been to Winnipeg." Yes, there you go. Corey, awesome again with the save. There's the video on downshifting. Can rain affect your brakes? Ashimer, yes, it can affect your brakes, but only if you're driving through deep water. And really, the suggestion is when you're driving through deep water, just hold the brakes on lightly, and that will prevent the brakes from getting wet. I mean, in hard rain and those types of things, most of the time, no, it's not really going to affect your braking a whole lot. If you're concerned about it, before you start to brake or need to brake somewhere, just test your brakes a little bit. But most of the time, yeah, you're going to be fine. South Shore, Nova Scotia. Yeah, Manitoba East. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny too. Okay. Okay, Andrew, can I blind spot check by putting my head closer to the side mirror and not have to turn my head to check? Andrew, if you're reluctant to head check or to shoulder check, what I would suggest is you get some small convex mirrors for your mirrors and stick them on. You can buy those at Canadian Tire. You can buy them at any automotive shop. and stick those on your mirrors if you're reluctant to head check. But I really, really encourage you to continue to head check for the entire time of your driving career, because there's a blind area there that will not be seen in your mirrors. And I know that there is another method of adjusting your mirrors. It's called the Safety Engineers of Automotives or something, SAE method, where they say that it eliminates blind spots around your vehicle. Well, that works fine as far as I'm concerned on the freeway or the highway, but it doesn't work well in an urban area, because there is just too much activity in an urban area of other road users, vulnerable road users, which are cyclists, motorcycles, pedestrians, and people on scooters. And those people get lost in your blind areas. So I do encourage you to continue to shoulder check even after you get your license. Okay. Tiffany, the most important thing to remember when you're starting your bus driving career is that passenger safety is your #1 priority. Okay. And that is imperative. And that I know that when you're driving a bus, you can get pushed by schedules, because buses run on schedules for the most part, and try not to get duped by that schedule and get in a hurry, because if you get into a hurry, oftentimes sometimes you're going to compromise safety because of that schedule. So try not to let the schedule become paramount. My friend Tim, basic Joomla tutorials. If anybody's building a website, go over to my friend Tim's website, Tim Davis, and he will give you information about basic Joomla tutorials. One of the great things about Tim and his work on websites, for those of you looking to get a website or build a website, is that Tim very much builds websites that you yourself can work on and update your own content. So just a little plug for my buddy Tim there. Doing his work on building his YouTube channel and getting started and that sort of thing. Yeah, and he's telling us funny jokes. Yes. Best part of Canada is Vancouver Island, the lower mainland, and then everything else is beyond Hope. Yes, and I always wonder when I go through Hope why Hope is a destination and not a journey. Okay, Allison, how should I position my hands while backing up and or parallel parking? That is the one time, Allison, that you can put one hand on the steering wheel, because the other hand has to go on the back of the passenger seat, because you've got to turn around and look directly out the back window of the vehicle when you're backing up. Okay, so parallel parking, reverse parking, and those types of things. Okay. Any tips for first day on the job tomorrow? Driving a DZ truck with a trainer tomorrow. After party production. So you passed your on-road evaluation. Is that what you're saying? Because I think it was you that was asking me about that. Yes? Allison, yes, it does mean you can turn with your palms. That's what it means. Okay. Okay, just after party productions, listen to the instructions of the trainer. Just follow the directions, go slowly, do what you need to do, and just, you know, if you get worked out, take a break, stop. Just going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But, you know, the trainers are pretty good if they've done that before, and they'll give you clear instructions about what you need to do and those types of things for your first day on the job. Okay, Nick, your videos have helped me to buckle down and work towards getting my license. Hoping you have tips for G2. Okay, so Nick, okay, so tips, great. Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate that because I just get going here. A whole bunch of different kinds of questions about driving. So, okay, so the 4 fundamental components of driving, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I've got a presentation I want to get to here just momentarily because I want to try and keep this to an hour. 4 fundamental components of any road test, okay? Speed management, space management, observation, and communication. So speed management. So for you, for doing a G2, it's either the flow of traffic or the posted speed limit, whichever is less, okay? Now, most of the time, because you're on a road test, you're going to be driving the posted speed limit and the traffic's going to be going by you because the posted speed limit is higher. So know that you have to keep it at the posted speed limit. So if you're going downhill or whatnot, you're going to have to get on the brakes and keep it at or very close to the posted speed limit. If you do go above a little bit, quickly get it back to the posted speed limit by getting on the brakes and those types of things, okay? Space management. Don't get near other road users. Don't get near fixed objects. Following distance needs to be minimum 2 to 3 seconds under ideal conditions, okay? If road conditions deteriorate or the weather deteriorates, it's raining or it's snowing or whatnot, then increase your following distance maybe out to 4 seconds, okay? Observation, you need to be scanning the entire time that you're driving, okay? So you need to be looking far down the road. You need to come in, check your center mirror, far down the road. Come in, check your instrument panel, far down the road. The end of the hood, look at both ditches, come in, look at your wing mirrors, and then just repeat that scanning pattern again and again. As well, anytime you move the vehicle laterally for observation, you need to do a shoulder check in the direction that you're moving the vehicle. So that's whether you're merging, you're simply moving in a parking lot to move around another vehicle or some other fixed object or whatnot, you need to shoulder check, okay? And anytime that you're reversing the vehicle or doing parking or whatnot, you need to do a 360-degree scan of the area. So that's looking all the way across the front and all the way across the back and make sure that there aren't other road users around your vehicle. So that's observation. And then finally, the last piece is communication. Okay, so you need to communicate to other road users your intentions on the roadway. You need to use your lights, your signals, your horn, hand gestures, appropriate hand gestures. Don't tell other road users you're number one, because if you tell them number one on a road test, you're probably not going to be successful. Okay, lights, horns, eye contact. If you were the least unsure when you're communicating with other road users, eye contact. Get eye contact with them and know exactly what they're doing or whether they want you to go first or those types of things. And then lastly, the communication. The most important part of communication is the position of your vehicle on the roadway. So if you're going to turn left, you're going to turn right, get your vehicle into the correct lane before you actually get there, because your vehicle in the turning lane communicates to other road users what you need to do, okay? And then there's some other basic stuff that you need to do and those types of things. In terms of stopping back 1 vehicle length from traffic, so you can see clear contact of the tires making clear contact with the pavement of the vehicle in front. Signal early, 3 flashes on a signal before you merge and lane change and all those sorts of things. So have a look at the playlist here, Pass Your Road Test Smart, and most of those videos are in there on about all of that information as well. If you're taking your test in an urban area, watch for transit buses, because oftentimes they stop and alight passengers on the other side of the intersection. And if they do that, don't get caught up in the intersection and block the intersection, because if you block the intersection, it's an automatic fail. Finally, emergency vehicles, make sure you pull over, because if you don't pull over on a road test, that's an automatic fail. So that's a quick overview of what you're going to be doing. Tasha, when making a right turn in a truck, how can I avoid making the turn wide? Tasha, you might need to take, if the vehicle is a bigger vehicle, are you talking about a pickup truck? If you are, then you might need to take the turn a little bit wider, but you want to try and stay as close to the curb you can without striking the curb, okay? Allison, yes, you can use your palm to turn the steering wheel when you're reversing or parking to back up. Brescia, what is the difference between a normal green light and a green arrow? Okay, a green arrow, Brescia, is an advanced green that often indicates that you can turn either right or left, and that's what the green arrow means. Okay, so if there isn't a normal light if there's just a normal light and there isn't a turning arrow, then you have to give the right of way to all other traffic before you can turn. Okay, Tasha, yes, a UPS truck. If you're driving a UPS truck, get that acronym out there, then you're able to turn a little bit wider, but you cannot turn so wide that you're impeding other traffic. If you do have to turn wider, minimize the amount of time that you're impeding other traffic, but keep it close enough to the curb that you're not going to go up over the curb or risk striking other pedestrians and whatnot. Okay, you are most welcome, Tasha. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip over. It's a very short PowerPoint presentation, probably 10 minutes. I'm going to flip over to the PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to go over that about some tips and techniques. Some of this is a variation on a theme about passing a road test. And again, I talk about the 4 fundamentals of driving, right? Space management, speed management, observation and communication. I'm going to talk about how those continue to be important as you pursue your driving career after you get your license, to prevent yourself from being involved in a crash. So we'll switch over to that and just head through that. All right, so here we go. So the first thing, crash proof. Most of you know who I am. I'm Rick August. I do have a PhD in, oddly enough, traffic safety. It's historical traffic safety. I looked at the transition from horse-drawn traffic to motor traffic in the first 4 years of the 20th century. Oddly enough, there was a traffic revolution where road speeds increased 500% in that 40-year period. And that's sort of the same thing as saying today. So say 2020, so say in 2060, we'd all be driving around in urban areas at 250 kilometers an hour in a relative, that's what we would be doing. And that's what happened in the first 40 years of the 20th century. So I looked at that increase in road speed and how policing and law changed to try and uphold order maintenance, which is what's called, you know, that there isn't total chaos reigning on the streets, because a lot of people were afraid that there were so many deaths and whatnot because of cars that monopolizing the roadway. So the first piece of being crash free, crash proof, and being accident free is speed management. So regardless of class of license, there's 3 speeds that you should be traveling on the roadway, which are the capability of the vehicle. So if you're driving a large vehicle and you're going uphill, obviously you're not going to be able to maintain the speed limit. So whatever the vehicle will do, what is the speed limit? The posted speed limit. If you are driving the posted speed limit, you're going to be going slower than the traffic flow. Most of the traffic is going to be going higher than the posted speed limit. Here in Canada, it's going to be 10 or 15 kilometers an hour more than the posted speed limit, unless you're on the Trans-Canada here in British Columbia, because it's 120. Most people don't drive much more than 130. Just because I think they're reluctant to, because they're going to get a speeding ticket. And it just, you know, 130 is really fast. It's like 80 miles an hour. So, yeah, most places 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. In the States, it's going to be sort of 10, it's going to be 8 to 12 miles an hour above the posted speed limit. So that's the traffic flow. So know that if you're doing the speed limit, most of the time you're going to need to be in the right-hand lane. For those of you on the left side of the road, you're going to need to be in the left lane. So speed management, that's the first part. And speed management very much works in tandem with space management. And basically what I tell students, in order to be crash free, if you're not near anything, if you're not near other road users and you're not near other vehicles, then it's less likely that you're going to hit something, because you're not near something and you've got a buffer of space to act defensively. And on that note, there's 2 ways out of an emergency situation. One is braking and one is steering. Steering is much, much faster than braking, because oftentimes you need a great deal of distance to get a vehicle stopped. If you have space, you can simply steer into that space and avoid the emergency situation, but you need space to move into. So if you manage space well around your vehicle, you have an out and you have some place to drive into. So it's easier to manage space and distance and try and steer somewhere than it is to try and brake in an emergency situation. So again, following distance, we talked about this previously when I talked about the major components of a road test. 2 to 3 seconds in a passenger vehicle under ideal conditions. If the conditions deteriorate, you want to increase that amount of following distance. So it's 2 to 3 seconds, so you might want to take that out to 4 to 5 seconds. Excuse me. If road conditions deteriorate, congestion happens, the weather deteriorates, you get into rain or fog or snow or those types of things, or if the available light, if it becomes dark and those types of things, then you're going to increase your following distance. As well, stopping in traffic. It's a major defensive move that when you stop in traffic, stop back 1 vehicle length from the vehicles in front of you. That way you can prevent being rear-ended, especially if there aren't cars behind you. You can be looking in your rearview mirror and watching the vehicles come up behind you. And if they're coming up too fast, oftentimes if you just pull ahead into that space that you've left there, that's enough to get the vehicle's attention behind you and they can come to a stop. As well, if the vehicle in front of you breaks down, you don't have to reverse in traffic. You can just simply drive out and around the vehicle in front of you. Because if you reverse in traffic, that's an unpredictable action and you're putting yourself in a high risk situation. And if you put yourself in an unpredictable situation, you're more likely to be involved in a traffic crash. Okay, it's important that you communicate with other road users on the roadway. And it's not just you out there, although sometimes it feels like you against the world. It's not you against the world. So the way that we communicate with other road users, lights, signals, the horn, hand gestures, my joke is all the time with hand gestures is that appropriate hand gestures. Don't tell other road users that they're number 1, because you may be involved in a road rage incident. So know that. If you're the least bit unsure with other road users, whether they're pedestrians or cyclists or other drivers, get eye contact and don't proceed until you get eye contact. And then finally, we communicate with other road users by the position of our vehicle on the roadway. If you're getting off a freeway, for example, at the last minute, don't turn into the exit lane, because that's an unpredictable action and you could be involved in a crash. Abort the exit off the freeway, get down to the next exit, get off on that one, and then come back. It's the same thing with a turn. Don't all of a sudden come up to a right-hand turn and go, oh my God, there's a right-hand turning lane, and then just pull into the right-hand turning lane. It's an unpredictable action, and when it's an unpredictable action, you surprise other drivers, and they cannot respond in enough time, and you're oftentimes putting yourself in a high-risk situation and could be involved in a crash. So if you're the least bit unsure about the maneuver that you're going to execute and not sure that you can execute it safely, then abort it and come back. Okay, the last one is observation, and I talk about this again and again as the 4 cornerstones of learning how to drive. And these 4 cornerstones of learning how to drive and passing a road test are applicable to being crash proof and being a defensive driver, looking and seeing. And we talked about this a couple of live feeds ago about one of my competitors talking about the fact that new drivers and inexperienced drivers are not looking. And I disagree with that. They are looking. They're just not able to identify a hazard that potentially could be dangerous for them. So experience will tell you about the different combinations of factors on the roadway that can come together and make a situation dangerous. And the driving task is the driver, the vehicle, light, weather, the roadway, and traffic. And those 6 different things can come together in a different culmination that in one situation can be completely harmless, in another situation it'll be dangerous. So this is one of the reasons why I believe that young drivers are at a higher risk of being involved in a crash than experienced drivers, because experienced drivers can look at that situation and go, oh, that situation is dangerous. So you need to determine if it's dangerous. And one of the things that I would suggest to you is if other traffic is stopped or slowing down and you don't know why they're stopped or slowing down, make sure that you stop or slow down, because you want to identify why they are stopping or slowing down, because there's often a reason why they're stopping or slowing down. All right. And then finally, as a driver on the roadway, you want to remain predictable. And all driving cultures, different countries have different driving cultures. We in North America have a driving culture. For example, not stopping at stop signs is part of our driving culture. In Scotland, they use the handbrake for hill starts in a manual transmission. That's part of the driving culture. In London, England, for example, they park on the other side of the road with the vehicle pointing in the wrong direction. That's part of their driving culture. That's accepted practices for driving. So know that there's road rules and accepted practices that will keep you safe or may not keep you safe. The other practice in road culture that we have here in North America is that when we stop in traffic, we pull right up to the bumper of the vehicle in front of us. That's not a safe practice. So sometimes you have to overcome the accepted practices of the driving culture to remain safe. And again, I come back to abort the maneuver. If you're unsure about a merge or you're unsure about a turn, those types of things, simply abort the maneuver and then carry on to the next intersection and turn, or the next exit, and get off at that exit or whatnot. Finally, navigation. Take your time and figure out before you go. Use Google Maps and those types of things and plan your route out before you go. Don't rely on your phone talking to you while you're going, because they're not always reliable and those types of things, okay? And you definitely don't want to be using your phone or your GPS while you're driving. Pull over to the side of the road and use it. And if you cannot leave your phone alone, then put it somewhere else in the vehicle. Put it in the back of the vehicle or put it in the trunk or someplace else, because you know that distracted driving is going to eventually get you into trouble. All right. So for those of you taking a road test this week, good luck on your road test and those types of things. All the best with that. Okay. There we go. And we're back. Okay. And where we go? There it is. Okay. All right. So, questions. Peaches. Yes, thank you, Peaches. Yes, like and subscribe if you like the channel. And by all means, leave me comments. Like I said, I'm trying to get to those as much as possible. We all have great successes here and those things. And Corey is helping out a lot. Okay, Elisa, thank you. So helpful. You are most welcome. Allison, I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. Abdu, which you prefer, to park by reverse or parking in front of the car normally? Abdu, I would suggest that you back into a parking space. It's much safer because you're backing into a static spot. There isn't anything going on back there. I mean, unless there's some pedestrians in the parking lot walking around and those types of things, but for the most part, and then when you drive out, you're actually driving out into traffic, which is going to be dynamic and those types of things, so it's a little bit easier. Okay. All right, and Ivan, how do you share the road with streetcars? Yes, streetcars, sorry. Yes, Ivan, I lived in Melbourne with trams, and you actually had to stop for trams. And as somebody said to me, in Melbourne, they've been racing trams since the turn of the 20th century. So you do have to stop when they're taking on or alighting passengers, and otherwise it's simply like a normal another vehicle on the roadway. You have to give them the right of way and those types of things, and simply, you know, you can pass. But if you're on a 2-lane road that has parking on the side of the road near the curb, it's going to be fairly challenging and fairly dangerous. Okay, so know that you need to give the right of way, and you need to give them lots of space when you're driving and those types of things. Okay, so yeah, and if you where are you, Ivan, that you're dealing with streetcars? Are you in Toronto, or are you someplace else that you're dealing with streetcars? Sam, that's great. I didn't know that. I've been so busy trying to get caught up on my YouTube channel and my other work and those types of things. And the consulting work, because of my YouTube channel, is taken off as well, and that is taking up a lot of my time. But it's not helping either that running back and forth to Victoria to look after my rental property. But that's just about there. I can see an end with that as well. So yeah, okay, Ivan. So yeah, you're in Toronto. The other thing, Ivan, that's different about Toronto as opposed to Melbourne that had trams is that in Toronto, they don't have bells. In Melbourne, it's very much part of the urban landscape that you're hearing the ding-ding of the bells all the time with the trams, whereas in Toronto, they're very quiet. So yeah, you basically just need to, you know, give them lots of room, make sure you stop when they're taking on or alighting passengers and those types of things, and take your time. Okay, because it's like a bus, but it's on a fixed track and those types of things. So yeah, and if you're uncomfortable with that, Ivan, or you don't feel comfortable going out with them and those types of things, what I might suggest is to find somebody who has some experience driving around Toronto and just ask them to come with you to go for a ride, and maybe they can just counsel you a little bit on, you know, things that you should do in and around streetcars and whatnot. So that might help you out a little bit. All right. Okay, and Corey is listing videos here for everyone, and that is just really great. I really appreciate you helping me out, Corey. That is just awesome. Okay. I think we've got most of it here, so that is awesome. And how are you doing, Peaches? Thank you so much for telling everyone to subscribe and hit the bell. And if anybody has any requests for types of videos and those types of things, by all means, leave me a comment, and I'll do the best that I can to get that. And as I said, today I actually started doing Facebook live videos, so I'm also on Facebook, and I'm going to start doing live videos there. My goal by Christmas is to be doing 4 live videos a week, and I'm going to be doing them at different times to try and get different places in the world. So essentially, I'm going to do one at noon on Sunday, I'm going to do one at 6 p.m. on Sunday, and then Monday I'm going to do one at 6 a.m. and I'm going to do one at midnight as well. So that's my big goal, is to be doing lots of live feeds and helping people out to pass the road test and those types of things. So yeah, we're going to get going. And the other plans that I have as well is I'm going to start a new playlist. I'm going to start doing crash analysis. I'm going to start picking some of the video off YouTube here of different crashes and those types of things. So if people have dash cam video footage that they can send me, or they want to have me analyze a traffic situation and those types of things, that's the next adventure that I'm going to be doing as part of the channel, and as well as continuing to teach driving lessons and those types of things. Okay, Allison, you are most welcome. Al, just discovered your videos recently. Excellent channel. Do you have any experience with disabled drivers? If not, is something you could look into doing. Al, I do have experience with people with disabilities, and I did work at Parkwood Hospital in London, Ontario, with an occupational therapist. I was having a brain cramp there for a moment, and I worked with people with hand controls, and we had a car for people that had upper mobility, And then we had a van that had a ramp that they could back in on their wheelchair, and the driver's seat turned 90 degrees and they could transfer into the driver's seat. So we did that kind of work. We also worked with people who had brain injuries, and we worked with people that had vision impairment, oftentimes just people that had one eye, because I don't know whether you know or not, people who have one eye don't have any depth perception. So we worked with those types of people as well. So that was some of the other work that I was doing. So what is it, Al, that what kind of, I don't want to ask too much personal stuff on a public forum here, but are you looking to be driving with hand controls? I'll just ask you that question. That'll basically ask. Or what you can do, Al, is you can send me an email, rick@smartdrivetest.com, and we can talk about it on email, and that way it'll be more private. Okay. So Tiffany, you are most welcome. And I think we're kind of getting around the 50-minute here, and the questions are waning. So unless anybody else has any more questions, I think we'll just wrap it up there for tonight, and we'll leave it there. And you can get a hold of me on email, rick@smartdrivetest.com. You leave me a comment here on the video. I want to thank everybody for showing up and contributing and asking questions and whatnot. I'm definitely going to have to go and check myself out on the rookie auto driving school. Sam, who is Jericho Arroyo, there in the Bronx. So if anybody's in New York City, definitely check out Sam and check out his driving school. And by all means, great instruction there and lots of successful drivers there as well. And you are most welcome, Sam, Al. Anything I can do to help you out. So, and I want to thank Corey for putting up videos and references for people who are asking questions. That really, really helps out because usually when people have questions, there's quite a number of videos on the channel now. So most of the topics have been covered in some detail, but you know, there's always room for more information that helps people be successful on their road tests. So, okay. You are most welcome. And the Maritimes, one of the long-term goals, we keep it slick, that I have is to start, once all of this takes off, which I suspect will be another year. So one of the long-term goals that I have is to start traveling around, working with different driving schools and doing interviews and driving in different areas and those types of things. And doing interviews. Rick, don't what? And you know, just interviewing different people and bringing that kind of information here, because it's very different. It has a different driving culture in the Maritimes as it does out here in the West and in the United States and in Europe and Scotland and all those different types of places. So that's one of the other things that I have long-term plans of doing. Don't leave. Yes, Tasha, I gotta go leave. I gotta go back to being a single dad. So my kids have been out with the sitter most of the day because I've had so much work to catch up on. So yeah, unfortunately, but I'm around. Definitely around in the comments. Leave me an email and those types of things. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Okay, Corey's got a trucking question. In the course, there was a question on trucks, on the blind spots, the trucks to the side. And there was a joke. Paraphrase, trucks have convex mirrors, no blind spots. Yeah, Corey, some people have some very interesting opinions about trucks and driving, and that's simply not true. Because I did respond to that person who left that comment, and I said to him, I said, do you have blind spots at the rear of your vehicle? He said, yes, I do. Well, then your convex mirrors are not eliminating your blind spots, and that's simply not true. The bigger the vehicle, the more blind spots, and the bigger they are. So that information is false. Okay. Tiffany. In British Columbia, California and British Columbia are on the same time, same time zone, Tiffany. So California and British Columbia are in the same time zone. So it's the same time. So it'll be 6 p.m. in California as well. All right, so we're going to leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you for your comments. All the best if you're taking a road test this week. If you passed a road test last week, congratulations on passing your road test. And good luck in your road test if you're taking it this week. Remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great evening. Bye now.